I found a local club called Tuxedo Junction, which was a pretty famous rock club back in the day.
21 Savage. I will be at Tuxedo Junction.
Oh, you saw that clip?
Well, I was watching the Vice thing.
That was the last show I ever did before I went to prison.
But he showed up.
He showed up. I gave him, it was like 22 grand plus hotels and flights, but the dude only performed for 5 minutes. Like we have a contract for 60 minutes, came on,
rappers, man.
Dropped the mic. I mean, I don't know if you know the Chief Keef story, but he totally stood me up.
Oh,
I paid
really?
him. Didn't even come. Didn't
show up at all.
Bro.
And you gave him how much?
So the contract was for 25 grand. I gave him 15 grand payment, which is a little more than half, which is a little abnormal for those type of things. It's normally half.
Yeah.
Sell out Toad's Place in New Haven, which is a pretty big club. And we get a call from his manager an hour before saying, hey, he missed the first flight. No problem. He'll be on the second one. We got a line of people. We had to hire all these cops because he had a bad rep at the time with like fights and violence. And then I get to the venue. I drove like an hour from my home to there. We get another call from management saying, hey, we don't know where he is. He's not making the flight. We didn't hear from their team again until the next morning where he sent out a tweet saying, sorry, Connecticut, wasn't the promoter's fault. Catch you next time. That was it.
No discussion of him giving the money back.
No, nothing. I guess he gave one of the co-promoters on the show a free show or something years later. But Chief Keef's one of the reasons why I went to prison, because that was money that I invested of investors' money. That I had like probably 50 grand spent in the show, the venue, the cops, the promotion.
So besides the 15, you probably spent another 35 on the show.
With that, and we would have made probably close to 100. It was a sold out show.
Wow.
You know, but what really screwed us was the cops in the venue. We still had to pay all that.
Yeah.
So it was still like 5 or 7 grand for the venue, then plus the cops, plus the promo, plus all the any openers, you know, things like that. It was just done dirty.
I did a Chief Keef show in probably 2019 out here. It was a smaller venue. I think it was only like 800 people or some shit for the venue. He had been playing like a lot. You know, it's kind of like a weird place to book Chief Keef in general out here, just because he performs quite a lot, especially at that time. He was performing a lot. And it was like, as the show goes on and like, you know, we have the other artists performing, the DJs are doing their thing. And I think maybe we're supposed to be out of the club by 12. And then all of a sudden I'm starting to realize like, yo, it is 11:30 and he is not here. Luckily, the venue seemed to understand and they with us enough that they didn't want to be hard asses about it. And they probably let us go, you know, a half hour, an hour past curfew or whatever. So it was cool. But if it was like a hard ass venue, we right then and there would have basically been, all the fans would have been right to ask for refunds. You know, he probably would already got paid or whatever. We would have been out to the venue. Like even that right there, that is pretty much why I hate the idea of doing events. It just sucks.
Yeah. I did a Tyga show, 100 grand show. You know how much I got back on that show?
How much?
$17,000 the venue wired me. I lost $83,000 in one night.
Wow. And what
couldn't even get
wrong?
A picture with Tyga.
Well, it was just not enough people bought tickets.
So remember I'm Schmacked?
No, what's that?
The big college concert tour. Okay. It was huge back in the day when Barstool was doing the blackout tour.
Oh, was that their like EDM festival type thing? I've heard about that.
Was doing something kind of like that.
Oh, okay.
But they were trouble. So like we had booked them at this venue in Providence, Rhode Island, and the town shut it down. It was like a whole big ordeal. Mm-hmm. So the college dean at URI, where we were doing the show, said we don't want buses coming from other schools to the venue because they thought it would be rowdy and create problems. So we lost half of our ticket sales overnight. Wow. So you needed like, I think 3,000 to break even. We had, I think 1,000 show up or whatever. It was Tyga and YG. Right. Tyga was kind of a dick. Like he was not nice. And his rider, like just from my personal experience, you know, wasn't nice.
I mean, that's a real like window into what rappers are really like, is that you could be the guy who's giving them 20 grand and they still like just can't even bring themselves to be nice to you.
Yeah, he got 40 grand for that show. Yeah. And it's just like, it doesn't make sense. And you do the whole rider thing where they get all these things separating the M&Ms, the Skittles, the $1,000 champagne, you know, you're bringing them a catered meal and they won't even say hello.
Did Tyga have this sort of shrimpy little guy with one arm with him?
I don't remember. Oh. I know I was shocked with how small Tyga is. Really? That's all I knew, you know, and I was a kid. I was 18. I was 18 and I just wanted a picture with Tyga. Nicest guy though, Big Sean. Really? He was so nice.
Does go. Yeah. I mean that when you see people who have long careers and then they're nice to the promoters, they're nice to the fans, they're nice to everybody, that usually kind of adds up, because at a certain point in your life, you're going to realize like, oh, I am thankful for this money and I need to be thankful for this money. And I'm going to show up and I'm going to shake hands and I'm going to try to have a good time. And, you know, it's like, I feel like rappers, when you get them in that sort of early egotistical era, that's usually, you know, when you are just dealing with somebody who's just horrendous.
Yeah. Kid Ink was nice. And all the EDM acts like Steve Aoki, Chainsmokers, those are all extremely nice guys, very professional. And they don't come with the big posses. They come by themselves or maybe a tour manager. No, yeah.
All the EDM guys I've pretty much ever met are pretty nice, pretty simple dudes. Yeah. Rappers have this whole ego thing. And that's what's fucked up too, is that you're like Steve Aoki and you don't even show up with a security guard. You're with like 3 girls and your manager and that's it. And it's like you're 21 Savage and you literally have like a team of guys with guns who have to like watch over you the whole time because you're so controversial just because you're a rapper.
His team that we put in the hotel broke into the hotel restaurant, not 21, but his team broke into the restaurant and I got banned from that hotel after and I had to pay for the damages.
See, that's one thing I was thinking about. Have you learned the lesson? Well, with all that shit, did you learn the lesson of like, you don't book the hotel rooms in your name for the artist. You give them money and say, here, book hotels, because then it's their problem.
I was just telling my buddy that works with me the other day, because there was all these charges for incidentals like water, sodas. I was like, always we'd pay for the room, but they have to put their card down for incidentals. So it covers that so they don't rack up a whole thing.
Well, well, I'll move on to another topic after this, but like one of the #1 rapper scams is that like you book them to do a date or whatever, to do a performance. And then at some point, like right before it's about to go down, somebody from their entourage or them or whatever kind of just throws it in there like, yo, we need an extra 5,000, or like, look how many tickets you sold. We need $5,000 more. And it's all like basically them taking advantage of the fact that they know that you're going to be completely if they don't come through with what they need to do. And so then they like put that on you at the last minute. This is like a classic rapper thing. They always have a shady homie who basically like will do this for you. And you ever have that one?
It's more just the rider. Like they want like double, or they want the restaurant. I've had done ones with the dinners where they're like, oh, we want it here, or we need this, or the famous one is instead of the dinner, we'll take the cash. So that, and then they change the price. So it's like $500 per person or something crazy. It's never the cost of the show. And that got me into trouble too. Shows would always cost like 2 or 3 times over budget because of all these pop-up things. We didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah. So you were doing all this and then you ended up basically having the shit just go kablooey at what age? How old are you when it kind of all goes to shit?
So I was doing the club stuff, like renting the teen clubs, super successful, making like 10 grand a night in high school doing these teen parties. No big DJs, just random DJs.
And so, but the teen parties, you're charging $20?
That would be say 10 or 15 bucks for an event that would cost 5 grand at the most to put together between the venue, security, all of that.
So you might have 1,000 people show up.
The most we did was 2,000 people. So it's a great profit margin.
Okay. But the thing I was thinking is like, they're not drinking, which is a huge part of the profit typically in this sort of business, right?
I wasn't the owner at the time. I was just the promoter. So I would rent the venue for like $1,000 or $2,000.
Got it.
But then I did that. And then I started borrowing money from friends and family. I started like an investment company to raise money for concerts and like this electronic business we had.
Yeah.
So I take all this money, raise like 500 grand and put it into concerts, and every single concert failed on epic proportions, like what you heard about Chief Keef and Tyga. And there was a bunch more like that, all in the 6-month span. And what I was doing was I was lying, saying that they made money and telling my friends and family they're profitable, everything's good, you're going to get your money. And I was promising people like a 50% rate of return. So say you gave me 10 grand, I would say in 30 days, I would give you 15 grand back in order to raise money. That I didn't know how I was doing that, and I was thinking that these concerts, like whenever I made a budget for a concert, I was saying, okay, if every ticket sells out, it's going to gross this amount. That's what's going on in my mind at the time, that, okay, this is what we're going to make. But the concert business doesn't work that way.
And you could sustain some stuff going bad, but you can't really deal with it just happening over and over. So do you feel like you just hit like a string of bad luck and that's what ended you up in prison? And if you had just had a little bit better luck, then you would have been fine?
I get that's one aspect, but the biggest thing that ended me up in prison was the lying, because I could lose money on concerts and that would be illegal.
And when you have real investors that you have actual contracts with, I'm assuming that's the problem. Like if you had borrowed 20 grand from your homie, I mean, he's just unlikely to sue you over it, right?
Yeah, I mean, they were like a 1-page contract, but the point was like you're saying the money's going to be for one thing, it's not for that, and you're breaking contracts and you're lying. Anytime that comes with money and lying, it's never a good recipe. So that happens. They go to the local cops, like, because keep in mind, these are kids for the most part, kids my age, 18, 19 years old.
So the investors go to the cops.
Investors, the kids do, because some of them put their own money in. Like say you were an 18-year-old kid that gave me $2,000, kept rolling your investment over, and you think it's 20 grand. Yeah. That's a lot of money at 18 years old.
Oh, yeah.
So they go to the cops, say I'm not paying. The cops escalate it. I guess the state's U.S. attorney didn't want to prosecute. Somehow, some way, someone gets it to the feds. And that's in 2014. I got indicted in January 2015 on 15 federal counts by the IRS and the FBI and postal inspectors on making a false statement, wire fraud, and money laundering. So that's how that all happened. I met with the FBI in July of 2014 for a reverse proffer where you hear what they have on you rather than a proffer where you're snitching on someone. And I took them to trial. I ended up going to trial. I had a codefendant that was never charged, a business partner. He turned on me, got a deal in the state for probation, and I was convicted on like half the charges.
Were you confident that he wasn't going to turn on you prior to the trial?
Yeah, we had talked, and I said, I'll take all the heat, just don't flip on me. And they only turned him like week 1 into the trial. So he stayed strong for like almost 2 years through their investigation.
Well, I wonder what kind of pressure they had to put on him to get him to switch.
I had heard like something about like that they went after his aunt and uncle or were paying for his college. They always do something sneaky. You cannot trust them.
Because as much as you think that you're going to be able to stay solid, when you hear about the dude who's like snitching and it's like right after they, arrested his mom and he realized that the kid is going to have to, go live with a adoption family or whatever. I mean, then you're like, who is gangster enough to let their mom get locked up or their wife or whatever? I don't know who's got it in them to be like, it's one thing to be like, listen, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to do 10 years because of this thing that I did. But to let your girl, even for a couple weeks, I mean, what the fuck? Most women are not built for this.
Guys do that though. That's why so many women are in federal prison.
Yeah,
they're taking the heat for their man. It's not their own thing. How many? If you look at all the female cases that are in federal prison, the female prisoners, I wonder how many statistically are tied to a male that they were engaged with. That got them into trouble.
Women don't just think this shit up on their own. Let's be real. And that's why I always say is like 99% of like prisoners are male. Like 99% of murders are committed by males, etc. And then if you look at the tiny percentage of women who are in federal prison or who killed someone or whatever, it's like you can usually take a few steps away from it and see how this is basically like a dude firing them up to do this. It's crazy. Even like the pimp world, we just realized like at a certain point, oh, there's all these girls making money for themselves. Oh no, all these dudes are inserting themselves into it and either threatening with violence or, I mean, there's already the threat of violence from the clients and everything like that. And it's like, you take anything that women have going to make money and you're just going to have legions of dudes trying to figure out how to insert themselves into it.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why I'm praying that my daughter becomes a stud. I'm gonna stop saying that. But Everything 420 really is that one-stop shop. Whether you're looking for your go-to gear or something new and unexpected, they got options for days, and they're always dropping mystery boxes and deals. The E420 app is clean, shipping is quick, and they literally have everything. Don't forget to use code NOJUMPER at checkout.